So when you're diving into the world of Linux, picking your next OS, well, it's about way more than just a list of features. It's really about choosing a philosophy. And today we're putting two of the absolute heaviest hitters in the ring, Linux Mint and Pop_OS. This is the story of the veteran versus the visionary.
Okay, so let's just get right into it. If you've ever found yourself just staring at a massive list of Linux distributions, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? That feeling of choice paralysis. It's tough. Do you go with something that's been around forever, something safe, or do you take a leap on something new and maybe a little more exciting?
And honestly, that's the exact choice we're looking at today. In one corner, you've got Linux Mint, the proven champion. It's all about stability and tradition. And in the other corner, you have Pop OS, the ambitious challenger, just pushing the envelope with innovation and modernity. This isn't just about which OS is better, it's a real clash of ideas.
All right, first up, let's talk about our champion, Linux Mint. You see, this distribution has built its entire reputation on being one of the most stable, reliable, and just plain user-friendly ways to get into Linux. And that's a reputation it has been carefully polishing for a very, very long time.
And when I say a long time, I am not kidding. We're talking 18 years. Since it first appeared back in 2006, Mint has stuck to one single unwavering philosophy: make Linux easy, make it familiar, and make it dependable for literally everyone.
So what is that philosophy in practice? Well, it's pretty simple actually. First, make the desktop feel comfortable. You know, a lot like that classic Windows layout millions of people already know how to use. They prioritize stability above everything else, which means you only get updates after they've been carefully tested. And get this, it's incredibly light. It'll run on a machine with just 2 gigs of RAM, which makes it absolutely perfect for bringing that old laptop back to life. Plus, with a community of over 3 million users, you can bet that almost any question you have has already been asked and answered.
Okay, now let's switch gears and look at the challenger, Pop OS. This one was created by the Linux hardware company System76. It started out as a really popular version of its parent, Ubuntu. But lately, oh man, it has revealed a much bolder vision for what a desktop can be.
See, for the longest time, Pop OS was seen as this really well-made but, not fundamentally different OS. It had awesome gaming tweaks, fantastic support for NVIDIA graphics cards, but it wasn't some radical new thing. It was kind of playing in the same sandbox as everyone else.
But then, everything changed. In 2021, System76 made this absolutely stunning announcement. They weren't just going to tweak the desktop anymore. No. They were going to throw out the entire rulebook and just start completely over.
Their plan was frankly incredibly ambitious. They decided to build an entirely new desktop environment from the ground up, not based on any existing software, but written completely from scratch in the super modern, performance-focused language, Rust.
And the result of all that work is the Cosmic Desktop. It is designed for a completely different kind of workflow. It's all about keyboard shortcuts, automatic window tiling, and just pure speed. It's a huge bet that modern users care more about efficiency than they do about a traditional start menu.
And just look at this timeline. It really shows you how brand spanking new this whole vision is. The first stable release of this new Rust-based Cosmic Desktop isn't even expected until late 2025. We're talking about a desktop that is still basically in its infancy, which is just a world away from Mint's decades of history. And of course, being that new comes with some pretty real trade-offs. Being on the bleeding edge means you're often the first person to discover the bugs. Early users have reported some significant memory issues, with some systems using 2.5 gigabytes of RAM just sitting there at the desktop. Now, to be fair, that's a situation System76 knows about and is actively working to fix.
So now that we've met our contenders, let's put them head-to-head. It's time for a 3-round showdown where we'll look at their core philosophy, their out-of-the-box performance, and their long-term predictability.
Round 1 is all about the day-to-day feel. Mint's Cinnamon Desktop, that's its signature interface, is basically the definition of comfort food. It's traditional, it's consistent, you can tweak it to your heart's content, all your muscle memory is safe here. Pop OS with Cosmic is the complete opposite. It's modern, it's fast, and it's built around this keyboard-driven tiling workflow that's all about productivity for power users. But it's also still evolving. Okay, let's move on to round 2, the gaming arena. Now, this is a battlefield where Pop OS has usually had a really strong advantage, but the results here might actually surprise you.
Now, check this out, because this is where it gets really interesting.
We're looking at out-of-the-box performance here. In tests from the YouTube channel No Signal, both systems hit an identical 97 frames per second in Returnal, a dead tie. But in Cyberpunk 2077, Linux Mint actually pulled ahead, hitting 99 FPS while Pop.os and other so-called gaming distros were in the high 80s or low 90s. I mean, nobody expected that.
So what in the world is going on here? Well, this quote from a user on the Mint forums kind of says it all perfectly. The truth is, once you get all your drivers installed correctly, the performance between these systems is basically identical. The key difference, and the real gaming advantage for Pop! OS, is that it makes that initial setup way easier, especially if you have an NVIDIA card, by giving you an installer with all the right drivers already packed in.
And for our final round, stability and support. This is where Mint's 18-year history becomes its superpower. Its forums are this gigantic knowledge base where almost every problem has already been solved, and its conservative updates mean things rarely break in surprising ways. Pop! OS, on the other hand, is for living on that bleeding edge. You'll get faster support for brand new hardware directly from the company that made it, System 76, but you might also be the very first person to ever run into a specific bug.
So after all of that, how do you possibly choose your fighter? Well, the truth is, there's no single best option here. The right choice is going to depend entirely on what computer you have, how you like to work, and frankly, how much you like surprises.
So here's a simple little 3-step way to figure it out. First, just look at your hardware. Is it a brand new gaming rig or a 10-year-old laptop? Second, think about your workflow. Do you want something familiar and stable, or do you want something modern and fast? And third, decide on your comfort level with risk. Do you want a system that's been polished for years, or does the cutting edge sound exciting?
Okay, let's break it down real simple. If you're a beginner, or if you have older hardware, or if you just want a set it and forget it kind of system that values absolute stability, then Linux Mint is your champion, hands down. But if you're a developer or a gamer with a shiny new NVIDIA card, and you're craving those cutting-edge features and a super efficient modern workflow, then yeah, Pop! OS is probably calling your name. Look, at the end of the day, both of these operating systems are absolutely incredible, and they're both completely free to try. The choice between them really is a choice about what kind of experience you want your computer to give you. And that really leaves us with one last big question. What is the desktop of tomorrow? Is it a careful, thoughtful evolution of everything we already know and trust? Or is it a bold revolution, completely rebuilt from the ground up? Well, that's for you to decide.